First of all, thank you for such a warm welcome after lunch. I see everyone is full of energy, so that's a good start to our discussion. We have an interesting topic, which is not only interesting but important, because financial infrastructure, forms the basis of entire financial systems of the country, and future-proofing it, I think it should be on the priority list. And I have some eminent speakers from various sectors of the industry. So let me go straight into the conversation. As I have speakers from various segments, let me ask each one of you, in terms of key top two developments that you can tell me which has redefined the financial systems in your specific sectors. Gaurav, let me start with you. You are with real estate. So what are the maybe top 2 or 3 developments that have redefined your segment?
Thanks, Sapna. Good afternoon, everybody. I think if everybody is done by lunch, if you had sweets, then you won't remember anything. So I can be free. So again, so in real estate, real estate in India is about $250 billion market. It's expected to grow to 1 trillion by 2030. Now, there have been a lot of developments in real estate, a lot in the technology side. Financial systems, to be very open, we have not been, in terms of the accounting systems and all, we have not been very advanced in the real estate. We've also, looked at brick and mortar buildings and how to build is what we look at. In terms of technology, couple of advancements that, I've also recently seen is that ones are, front-ended and other ones are back-ended. I'll tell you one which is back-ended, which most of you may not know, is when we, build a building as a residential or a commercial, there's a digital twin that, we build in the back end, which is a virtual representation of your building with all your services. Now, that plays a very important role nowadays and a very key development for buildings to, come up on time, built on time. They take about 5 to 6 years for residential, 3 to 4 years for commercial. So this digital twin, which is, a virtual representation, helps the architect and the engineers in the team in better planning and, better management and better architecture of the building. They can stress test, various things in the virtual environment, which were not possible before. People would, do some things, learn from that, then course correct. But now you can do it in virtual environment. It also increased safety, so this is, digital twin is one. I would say other thing you would have noticed when you've gone to buy houses is now you have, virtual. So before earlier years,
AR and VR.
Yeah, when you go out, you are on the, mercy of the broker and channel partner to show you what's there in the market. But now you can see everything digitally, virtually. These are, I think, the, big things that are happening in real estate.
Right. So not directly connected to finance, but helping keep the costs in check for the organizations. So 2 key developments in real estate, as Gaurav said, are AR, VR, and the digital twins. Kunal, in your segment, what would you, in Jitesh, in your segment, what would you say has redefined your sector, the technology development?
No, thank you so much, and thanks for the question here. But I think I'll give you 2 examples here. The first example is general, and the second is industry specific. The general one is the way we are leveraging software or the platform or the infrastructure as a service. If you think about a couple of years back, we would have to buy a perpetual license to install a Tally, Oracle, or a SAP. Now there are organizations which can give you this as a service. So think about an SMB sector, a startup, or even a large corporate. If you have to do a small change in your system, you don't need to do that through a transformation. You buy a plug and play model and your financial process is sorted. So that's what I think I really look up to. The one which is specific to my organization, we are in the Alco-Bev side of it. So where distribution or supply chain management is the key. The way the technology has helped us is on our inventory management. We have a fully integrated supply chain from a warehouse to our Singapore office, to our distributors which are spread across to 3,000 points of sale also. So what I get to know every week is what my consumer trends are, what my trade investments are, and how can I pivot it based on the consumption patterns of. So I think that is super helpful, and at the same point of time, I'm able to manage my inventory cost, I'm able to do trade investment settlement on time, so which makes the entire ecosystem moves in the right direction.
Correct. So technology for efficiency, I think that's a very big point. Kunal, you would like to add something to it
Sure,
in your segment. Yep.
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about broking and financial service industry, wherein what we have seen is, as a country, India, we had about close to, you can say, 20 million or 2 crore demat accounts until 5 years back, which kind of got opened in 25 years before that, that is since 1994. And only in last 4-5 years, we had this number just jumping to 5x within no time. And with only last 1.5 year giving 50% of it, that is close to 50 million, that is 5 crores. This is a big transformation as an industry, thanks to the overall shift in digitization, wherein the account opening used to actually be with 27 signatures, or even there are memories of 60 signatures being done by a client, and used to take months, or maybe say if not days, fortnight or so, and logistical issues, all getting migrated to digital. But the very important two things that has enabled this is, one is the boom of telecom and internet all across the country with high bandwidth, which has actually fostered this in a very big manner, backed very strongly not only by the sector development in technology in terms of developing journeys, but also by regulatory enablement, wherein the things which are in terms of digital signatures, the Aadhaar-based signatures, the OTPs and the power of attorneys, etc., were all legalized in terms of authentication through a mobile, digitally signed, which kind of helped to really expedite this. And as we speak, you can say more than 90% of our new incremental accounts are opening digitally through this process on a mobile app in less than 5 to 10 minutes. So people can just start investing within no time. And the biggest impetus of this is, as you all are aware, globally there is very high amount of turmoil in terms of interest rates, recession, countries undergoing liquidity tightening, etc., which essentially Indian stock market and capital markets are not experiencing as much as globally it is happening. In fact, India is doing better because of a very huge retail participation which has been enabled by this transformation. So the retail participation is so heavy that the retail buying, retail investments is helping companies raise money, helping counter FI negative flows. So a small change digitally backed by these kind of transformations has actually helped to try and help the whole economy to kind of sustain well. So I believe this big is the contribution.
I think smartphones and the Aadhaar, I think they are the basis, for the financial services doing so well these days. And as you said, for the retail customer, it's become very easy. Nikhil, lastly to you, in your segment, what are the technological developments that have redefined it?
So I will say that I will look at it as a manufacturing segment rather than anything, because if you are looking at finance,
Right.
I think we'll have to go by what type of industry it is rather than what specific activity the company is doing. In that sense, I'll say in the manufacturing setup, the one thing which has revolutionized is, for me, supply chain finance. That is something which is really changed in a big way. Vendor finance or supply chain finance has always been there for ages, but the platform concept on which it has started working has really eased out financing for the entire vendor base. And if your ecosystem is kind of strong and healthy, I think it helps the industry as a whole. So that is something which is really revolutionary. MSME funding, because of which they are, and today they can get at the best of the rates. The kind of scale that is going up. So I was just discussing with one of the persons over here, it started so slow, but today it is that each of them are doing around 40,000 crores. So I think that's something, a real size, which is really picking up. So that being the case, I think that is one which has revolutionized manufacturing industry. For coming to consumer finance and consumer retail industry that we are in for our products, I'll say that tracking of I'll look at the consumer finance side, going away from the vendor finance side. it's a very opaque area. It's an area where, there is not much clarity who finances, because at zero finance, the cost comes to the company. So tracking through serial numbers, through QR codes, through automation, seeing which ultimate dealer is financing or retailer is financing your product and what financing it is happening, getting a full visibility on that through digitization is something which I will say is sector specific, which has really benefited us.
I think transparency in the entire system
yes.
is something. So great to know that technology is creating a lot of paradigm shifts in all segments, across all sectors. Coming to the specific questions about our financial infrastructure, because this is what we are talking about. If I have to ask, Kunal, when we talk about financial infrastructure, first of all, there are traditional infrastructure like our banking systems, our credit card payment systems, etc., ATMs. How much are they being modernized to make them future ready? Is enough being done, or more needs to be done? What is your reading?
So I think so. Let me just tell you a very simple thing. The biggest financial infrastructure for any company is how payments are made. And we all know how UPI has revolutionized. In fact, that's the best example in the globe. We are having highest number of transactions, and none of us will be hesitant to even give a small money to any vendor, or even for that matter, people are using it to pay their maids, etc. Also a small money by payments, by UPIs and this thing, and it's very swift and quick. So that is the level of kind of change. But having said that, even if you come in financial services, you come in with respect to banking, there is an immense amount of modernizations with the API transformation that is happening. So all the banks, the financial institutions have been started exposing APIs, and fintechs are at the forefront to kind of lap it up and integrate. And therefore, there is a complete mesh around, if you look at it from outside, wherein you are transacting with anybody from anywhere. And when I say anybody from anywhere, it is essentially, it can be any bank or any broker in the behind financially, but at the forefront, it can be any startup entity. Right, even in future, I don't see that if it's be it Swiggy, Zomato, in the back end, it may be powered by HDFCs of the world for a lot of services, and there are numerous amount of services that are tied up in the back end. I think so it is time that the larger India also takes cognizance of this API revolutions in terms of getting into an integrated world in future, wherein they also integrate their systems using APIs, which is kind of a standard protocol, and try and take a larger benefit. So I think so we are at the forefront. And just to also give you one more last example, clearing corporations in India has rolled out interoperability in 2019. I was myself part of it to roll it out, and as we see in exchanges, we are kind of the best in the world in terms of interoperability, wherein we also have derivatives interoperability, which is kind of hardly existent anywhere in the world. And at the same time, we do highest amount of derivatives volume on our stock exchanges in the world. So that is the level of advancement.
So that's quite a bit that has already happened. Anything more that you're looking at, what more needs to be done?
I think so this is just a start. The foundation is created in terms of what can happen. Now the whole foundation will be layered by a huge amount of AI ML that will come. That AI ML essentially will do a lot of contextualization for customer. So earlier it used to be that everybody used to see the same news. Now the news that you will see, that they will see, and what I will see will be completely different in terms of it will become more contextual to what is relevant to me, related to my business area, my areas of interest, and everywhere the world is going to be personalized, more hyper-personalized, looking at the consumer behavior. So I think so this whole foundation that has been created will be super loaded with AI and ML, and that intermingled with the overall infrastructure that the larger Indian companies will adopt will completely change the way in which we live. Our lifestyles will also change.
Right. So AI ML for customized services to the consumer, I think is the next step now.
So every customer will be a segment,
Yeah.
and therefore you can't say it's customized to customers, but it is essentially programmed and intellectualized in the manner in the back end that the customer will feel in terms of means we are already talking like you have to think accordingly, it will already directly give you. So it does not necessarily make time, and we all have heard that Google and Alexas of the world are listening to us on an ongoing basis as we have in our pockets mobile phones, and we suddenly see an ad of what we may actually talk. So that's kind of going to happen.
That's the next step for our financial services as well. Sounds a little creepy, but I think that's good. So Jitesh, let me ask you, Kunal mentioned about fintech companies being the front face for the banking sectors. What are the kind of digital transformations you are seeing fintech are bringing in the sector and helping it make future ready as well?
Yeah, so I think I can talk about it as a consumer and as somebody who has worked in financial services to a large extent. So first decade of my career has been in financial services, and next is on the other side of the table. So think about it. I think my friend talked about UPI, QR code, talk about DigiLocker. So what you're doing, the entire journey of a consumer is from an onboarding to his collections. Everything has been digitized to a large extent. Now, the recent changes which they have done is the asset aggregator. We call it as Sehmati, which the government has launched. And what the most important thing, what I feel fintech have done is they have democratized learning. I mean, talk about any stockbroking organization, they are starting with onboarding a consumer through a learning program. So what they're bringing down is their reach through educational programs, through asset-light models. So they are bringing the ecosystem in a larger forum, or the reach has become much, much wider. And I recently opened a broking account, and it was opened within 10 minutes. There was no manual touch point. Everything was digitized, and I think I can wish it more. So if I have to trade next 1 hour, I think I'm already there on that.
I think I agree. It has democratized the financial sector for everyone, and as you said, ease of doing, operations is become one of the biggest contribution of fintech companies.
So the learning channels, whether you talk about Zerodha, Grow, or anybody, from your CRISIL rating to anybody, is probably a tutorial which is on YouTube now. I mean, whether if I have to do an option or a derivative training, I don't think so I need to contact somebody from a finance background.
Okay, correct. Not so good news for finance professionals. But let me come to Nikhil now. Kunal touched upon how legacy systems are getting upgraded, how fintech is making a big contribution, as Jitesh said. Two technologies that have been often talked about in finance is blockchain and cloud-based systems. Our earlier panel was also talking about it. According to you, what are the benefits and challenges of adopting these systems in our finance segment?
See, I'll start with blockchain. Blockchain, I think, if I were to compare it, it may not be a good comparison, but it's something like Africa. It's remained a promise for a long time. That's the only. It's not kind of coming to its potential. It has a huge potential, is what I will say. But somehow, I did my first POC on a blockchain in 2016. So that was a time when we tried out. We did another POC in 2019 on in an intra-group trade which we wanted to do. But still, the scalability has not been to the extent it should. There are multiple reasons for that, is what I will say. While the concept is absolutely something which is relevant and which is useful, take a simple example of a trade. The most use case can be an international trade where there are so many players, and in terms of your simple paperwork which travels across, a working capital cycle will be 15 to 20 days just because of the time taken for various documents to flow across. And if that has to be converted into a blockchain, which has been attempted by many people, which a distributed ledger is there is a Bolero which is there, so all of them are doing it. But any one chain, any one player in the chain not on blockchain will kind of derail it. So there are a number of reasons why it doesn't take off, or it is not taking off to the extent it should. There are other reasons why blockchain, I think, is another use case was KYC. But then I think eKYC has come and it has worked out very well, which means that it was not required to have a blockchain for that. So I will just say blockchain is a promise. It has potential, but it is still not worked out the way it should. As far as cloud goes, I will clearly say that it's like for my company at least, it's a cloud-first strategy. We are trying to see that how we can take most of our functions on cloud. Today we have our ERP on cloud, most of our other services are on cloud, because that's the best way to scale, that's the best way to have flexibility. And when I say scale, it means it's a hyper scale. You can just increase when you want, you can, the way you want. The business model gets a lot of flexibility. And that's very important, because today I think in this uncertain world, only thing that is certain is agility. If you're agile, you are going to succeed. And if for that, if you have to change your business model, you need to be, you cannot be invested in a huge technology where you can't switch anything. So that's something which cloud gives you, that flexibility. And of course, I will say the most important thing is security. While people say that, you know, whether security is compromised or something like that, I will give high weightage to cloud security than individual security. If you just read the securities piece, I'll say that it is said by 2030, around $650 billion will be lost because of only security. That is your either downtime or cyber attacks.
Right.
So today there are only two type of companies, one who are attacked, one who don't know that they're attacked. And that is a reality.
We'll
so
come back to that, the data security.
So from that
part.
angle, I think cloud is something where you are more, at least, you know, getting the best of the things in terms of security and all. So I would give cloud much more weightage, and a blockchain for me is a promise.
Okay, okay, fantastic to know your views about these two technologies. Another very important aspect that comes when we are talking about future proofing of our financial infrastructure is the governance part. Gaurav, let me ask you, in the regulatory, because regulatory ecosystem becomes very important when we are talking about financial infrastructure. What role do you see RBI playing in making sure that our financial infrastructure is resilient to risks?
Yeah. So, see, in the context of COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukraine war, now the Israel war, also the global banking sector events that have happened in the US, the Silicon Valley crisis, even in the Europe, the topmost focus, from an RBI perspective, would, as you said, resilience, financial resilience and stability. Now, what is the role of RBI? RBI is a custodian of financial stability. Now, as a custodian of financial stability, they have a lot of responsibilities on the plate, and I think they have been doing really well. From maintaining or setting up the interest rates, liquidity management, capital stack of the banks, audits that they have been doing. So they have been doing their part of it. When we talk about from a bank and financial institution perspective, and I think my colleague Kunal can answer better, but resilience can be from a financial perspective, operational perspective, and organizational perspective. Now, when we say financial resilience, is something when banks have sufficient capital and liquidity, to withhold or withstand any shocks. When we talk about operational resilience, that would mean banks and institutions can offer or are able to deliver critical services in the face of any disruption, like any attacks or cyber risks that are there. And then comes the organizational resilience, which means the management of the financial institutions. Are they expecting? Are they proactive? Are they looking at the uncertain events and are prepared for that? So I think these three, financial, operational, and organizational resilience, is quite important for banks and financial institutions, and RBI is doing their part of it. Right. Even in the new wakes like the the digital lending space, fintech space, where there are a lot of fintechs coming and loan apps giving peer-to-peer sort of lending. It is an opportunity for the country, but it also poses a challenge for our regulations or regulatory, where they would have to ensure that the transactions are done in a proper, transparent, true, fair manner and transparent manner. So that's where I think the last year they came up with regulations on digital lending in September. That's right. And I think they have to be future ready and keep watching these emerging trends and be prepared with regulations, so that their sole aim is consumer protection and fair practices.
Right, right. I think listening to our speakers, one takeaway that I get is that technology is a big game changer for the finance sector. Whether it is our traditional financial infrastructure, which is getting modernized to make it future ready, as Kunal said, whether it is the fintech companies which are bringing in digital transformation and creating awareness among the consumer, as Jitesh spoke about, and also the promising technologies that Nikhil spoke about, that blockchain and cloud is something which is, gets big thumbs up from our speakers in terms of security, data security, and RBI, the role of RBI to make sure that there are no over-ambitious growth approach of companies at the cost of risk management. So before, our times is already up, but before I close the panel, let me ask my speakers to do some crystal ball gazing and give me one tech disruption that you foresee in the future. So Nikhil, starting from you.
I'll say CBDC, central bank digital currency.
Okay.
For me, that when it comes, and it will, it's a matter of time. When we have digital currency, I think it's going to revolutionize everything. So that is because it will change the way the business functions. It will change the way it's going to eliminate intermediaries. It will be a game changer.
Okay.
And it will take time, but it will be there.
Okay, so that's a disruption that Nikhil is looking forward to in future. What's your prediction?
I would have loved to say that I would look forward to capital account convertibility still, but while you are asking for technology, I would say that the integrated approach in which the companies have started lapping up the overall functioning, everything is going to go on mobile much more. It is still a large amount which is outside of mobile, and millennials, as they are growing up, is making that shift transformation. So I think so we have only touched the tip of iceberg.
Okay. Yeah, in fact, India has one of the youngest population, and I think the highest smartphone penetration in the country. So that is what we will see in the future. Jitesh, what's your
I think
focus?
I'll speak on behalf of a CFO. No regulatory compliance. I think the entire data should be there in the ecosystem. They have left no corner for an individual salaried guy. Hopefully they will leave no corner for a business guy as well.
Okay, no regulatory landscape. Yeah, we all dream of that. Gaurav, your last word.
My friend Nikhil has said about blockchain, but being in real estate sector, real estate is not on smartphone, except REITs, which have been a new development. You can buy real estate from commercial real estate through REITs. But what I'm looking forward is something like a blockchain around real estate, so that we tokenize the asset. Contracts are transparent. There is trust.
It's already
title.
happening in Dubai. They have.
Yeah. So we should look forward. I am looking forward to it, where real estate transactions could be brought about on blockchain, where there is transparency, there is trust, there is property title,
Right.
details available for anybody to verify. And global access on this, and market efficiency. Basically, we don't know what the neighbor is selling for. It would be great to know what the neighbor sold for before I could give my offer on my flat.
Correct.
So market being efficiency in the market and tokenization. That's the thing that I'm looking forward on the real estate.
So great wish list of our speakers here.
CBDC, I said from the finance side. I just say that ONDC is, I think, is another thing which is going to revolutionize things. And we'll wait and watch how it comes out. But the way UPI is done for payment interface, similarly, I think for ONDC is going to do for business.
And I think the future does look bright the way technology developments are happening in this sector and across industries. I think the day is not far that we will be seeing all these developments also happening. I think the takeaway from this discussion is that when we are talking about future proofing of financial infrastructure, we need to strike a balance between stability, because finance sector has to be stable. As I said, over-ambitious growth at the cost of risk should not happen. But innovation is very important, because unless we also start bringing in innovation with some due risk, as we have data security, etc., that will keep getting addressed along the way. So we need innovation as well to keep us resilient to internal and external risks. So I think thank you to our speakers for sharing your views and suggestions, what should be done and what should happen in the future. And thanks to our audience after the lunch being so patient and listening to us. So thank you so much. Any questions? One question we have, two questions. So please.
Help them with the mic, please. Over there.
Hello. First of all, I congratulate all the panelists for this wonderful discussion, and especially Sapna for anchoring all this. So my question is for Gaurav. And something interesting was talking about real estate, because everybody else have a edge over technology and real estate is lagging far behind. But I would just want to ask, how about metaverse doing all the sales of real estate? How do you see it as a future prospect? Then everything will be clear and transparent.
Good question. So, see, first to tell you about technology, I would not say that real estate is lacking in terms of technology, because when I mentioned digital twin, that's the back end of it. But front end, in the way or the experience that now can buy property, through VRs and through technology, where you could view the inside of your house, and even drone views. You can see the view from your balcony. That was not there,
Yes.
or in earlier. So metaverse, as long as you can't, I've heard people can buy real estate in metaverse. So as long as I know how to buy land and build, houses there, that could be one part of it. But taking that experience of virtual digital is important. Real estate for the longest time have been a location
Yeah.
sort of a game, right? It's now become a location, a product, and an experience sort of a game.
Experience. So metaverse can give that experience without going there. So
Yeah.
probably
So for now also, I think even I would say there are certain because of the digital world, there are certain things that you need to go and feel and experience,
Obviously.
right? While I completely agree that you can sit at your home and visualize your house and how it's going to look, but as long as you can go, you can touch, you can feel, that's the house actually, or real estate depends basically on. So that comfort or that reality, because what is the sample flat right now, right? You can have a sample in your digital. Still people come because they would like to touch, they would like to experience, they would like to stand within and see it as a reality.
Obviously.
Because real estate is a dream, right? New houses are a dream. As long as you can see it as real as possible is what it is.
Yeah, for Indians, real estate still remains touch and feel kind of. The whole family has to go, the wife has to go. But we talked about metaverse. There is already happening in metaverse
Yes.
near Ventao Island. Architect James Law has created that entire this thing where you can buy a physical property as well as the property in metaverse. You can do that.
See, as far as this touch and feel and experience kind of thing is concerned, I'm a doctor. So earlier, the doctor-patient relationship was only physical. Doctor has to be there, patient has to be there. Now it is completely digital, online consultation as well. Probably real estate is going towards that as well.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. So I think
Thank
I've been told that we do not have
Thank
more
you.
time. One question. We'll just a quick question if we can have. Yep. Let's keep it very brief.
Hello. Hello. So my question is to Nikhil. Hi, Nikhil. You spoke about supply chain vendor financing. One of the biggest challenges during COVID times was the business continuity of the vendor. The business continuity, is he going to exist or is he going to exist? Or is he going to exit? So, hello. So that was one of the biggest challenges during the COVID times. As a learning of that period, have you put any matrix check in place, or is it still that you have multiple backups for a given requirement and lay your eggs in multiple baskets?
I think you can connect offline with Nikhil. He's right here with you.
Oh,
So
okay,
you can-
okay.
And let me thank our speakers right now for sharing their time and views with us on this very important topic. Thank you so much.